What's really good, my people? Welcome into No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Little. Big Nick the Quick with me. As always, the boys are back at it. We got a lot of catching up to do, man. This is the first show of 2024. We've been all over the place. I've been all over the place. Big Nick the Quick has been all over the place. But that's not an excuse. But we did have a lot of shit going on. But we're back. Tons of NBA to talk about, catch up on. We're going to talk about the East. We're going to talk about the West. Can a couple of these teams in the West actually hold up over 7 games? Because that's what we're talking about here. Minnesota Timberwolves, great story. Can they hold up over 7 games? We'll talk about it. The Milwaukee Bucks start together. We said it. We talked about it. I tweeted it. Give them a little time, man. Give Doc a little time. They seem to have an identity now. Get a massive win against a very tired back-to-back team in the Clippers last night without Giannis, though. So that's not an excuse for me and the Clippers. We'll talk about the East. And, of course, we'll touch on a little NFL offseason. Russell Wilson is on the market, and someone can pick him up for the low because any money that he's paid this year is paid by the Denver Broncos. So that's a very unique, interesting situation there. And we'll talk about a little NFL draft, NFL combine, the hilarity of the entire thing in totality. No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. Me and Big and Nick the Quick is back. Let's get to it.
Now look at Mossy. Really? Oh, so that's how you're going to play it. You going to do this? Okay, fine. That's all I needed. That's all I needed for him to do that. And it became personal with me.
Me and Big Nick the Quick rolling. I think Nick the Quick might be having some audio issues, but I'm gonna rock with it. He's trying to figure out the audio as we go about it right now. But until Big Nick the Quick figures that out, you're gonna watch him struggle there in the little box. But we have a lot of stuff to talk about. Yeah, he can't hear me. Big Nick the Quick is having issues over there. But we'll continue to rock. I'll roll with it. Why don't you go out and come back in? I'll let you back in.
We're good. We're good. I'm in.
Okay. Oh, Big Nick the Quick is back.
I'm back. See, we couldn't have the comeback without a little bit of technology hiccup, man. But we're back.
Yeah, a little audio situation.
Glitch.
Yeah, we're back.
Yeah,
Big Nick the Quick, what's been good, man? You got a new job. I've been working on a couple little new things myself. So what's been up?
Listen, man, just been busy traveling all across this country, man. But I'm happy that we're back.
Were you about to say this beautiful country?
Not a lot of it's beautiful.
But then you pulled back on it.
I had to pull back on it a little bit. Some of the places that I've seen, but yeah, obviously we've both been real busy. Sean out here grinding. Shout out to you for the NBA TV. Still doing the MSG situation.
Yeah,
Action Network popping.
Yeah.
We'll
I got a couple things shaking, man. So. Be on the lookout.
Busy, man. We both been busy, but we had to get back on the mic. We've been talking about it for a couple weeks. Obviously, we're able to get to a line today, man. So I'm happy. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, bro. We're back. We back rolling, man. No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. You know how we get down. Let's jump into it, man, because I already know this episode is gonna run an hour plus, easy. Absolutely no issues doing that. Me and Big Nick the Quick, as you guys know, are huge NBA guys. That's kind of all I do all week. Alyssa can't stand it. Like, just watching hoops all the time. And she's just like, dude, enough of this shit. Like, so I've been trying to do my best to watch as much as I can in the morning. But you know how this shit goes, man. I'm watching hoops. That's just what it is. I got to talk about it, so I got to watch it. That's just
the
what
job.
It
That's the gig, man.
That's just what it. It's
not all leisure. It's not like you want to be sitting around watching Wizards and Wizards and Jazz.
Wizards Jazz last night. Great finish, by the way. Shout out Jordan Clarkson on the finish last night.
Yeah,
in Wiz Utah.
-5.5. So happy with that one.
Yeah, there you go. They covered it down the stretch. They ended up winning by double digits. They were in trouble coming down the stretch. But so yeah, if you have any tips on if your girl doesn't like to watch hoops and you have to watch hoops every single night from literally by the time you guys sit down to eat dinner from 7 to midnight on the East Coast, I'm trying to watch hoops. She's not. If you got any tips for me, send them my way.
I got the ultimate solution. That's why I have the 2 TVs. So we'll watch TV. She has her TV on the main show. Or the main TV. That's where the audio comes through. I watch the game on mute. We're good to go.
You watch the game.
TV. Oh yeah. It's what watching NBA.
So you're watching basketball as Love Is Blind blares through the speakers.
To be honest, that is exactly verbatim how it goes. She had the Love Is Blind. She had the Love Is Blind episode on the other day.
Yeah,
I had the game on. It was all good. It's like I'm watching both. Yeah, it was great. But that's what I mean. I know you're not really set up to have two big ass TVs in your crib.
Yeah, so I'm in New York, man.
You need a better solution. You need an iPad.
Yeah, I mean, I could always just put up the computer. You know what I'm saying? But
that's kind of it.
Yeah, whatever. Well,
small screen basketball is tough though.
No audio. Small screen basketball sucks.
Watching basketball on your phone is tough.
Yeah, it's nasty.
It's nasty.
Yeah, it's
nasty. It looks like technical.
So, all right, let's get into it. What you want to talk about? You want to talk about the East or the West first?
Let's start with the East.
All right, let's talk with the East then, because the Milwaukee Bucks have now won 6 in a row. Post All-Star break, they have not lost. They had a really tough spot last night at home. No Giannis Antetokounmpo. He was out dealing with. Anytime you see a sore Achilles, I don't like that.
I've never seen your Achilles being sore either.
I don't like that.
That was kind of a red flag.
But yeah, that's what Giannis was out with last night. I'm sure.
Was that too honest? Was that a little bit too much honesty on the Bucks' part?
Yeah, give me the hockey lower body.
lower body
injury. Hockey lower body injury. I'd rather have seen that if I'm a Milwaukee Bucks fan.
Sore Achilles isn't great.
Sore Achilles doesn't make me feel very good. But I mean, hopefully it's nothing, and Giannis comes back and continues to roll. And they continue to roll. Dame comes out early and immediately looks like he's getting ready to go crazy from the jump. It's like, okay, Dame is locked in. He scores like 13 plus 14 points in the first quarter. Ends up scoring 39 or 41, something like that.
Yeah.
He's scoring like right around 40. They get the W. But in your opinion, do you believe the Milwaukee Bucks have now turned a corner? Doc has a few games under his belt, pushing that 20 game mark. They look like they have some identity. They look like they have a lot more cohesion. Do you feel like they've turned the corner? And then can they really compete with Boston? Because per the odds makers, those are the only two teams that they think are coming out of the East.
Yep.
Boston's right around that plus 105, plus 110, and Milwaukee's right around that plus 235, plus 250 number.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think they did. I think, obviously when they first brought him in, it was extremely rough. A lot was made out of it. The way that it all went down, and then the fact they were like 1 out of 7 when they first brought him in. Like you said, turning around since the break, playing with an identity. It seems like Giannis and Dame are playing with a little bit more cohesion, a little bit more understanding of the roles. I think one thing that Doc is good at is Doc is such an egomaniac that I think he's actually good at managing egos. I think that that's probably one of his biggest strengths as a coach. Not to say that Giannis or Dame necessarily have the biggest egos in the world, but these are superstar players, and you got to manage that situation.
Hey, hold on. Let me pause you right there.
Go ahead.
Before you get into it. Giannis has a massive ego. Let's cut that shit out. I'm a huge Giannis fan. Giannis has a massive ego.
He's not as humble as he used to be.
And he doesn't want anybody to know that he has a massive ego. But it's very clear by the way he talks, the way he moves, he has a massive ego. Okay,
yeah, he's a killer out there, and obviously Dame with everything, and I wasn't surprised by the Dame struggles, and I think he opened up about it last week. Talking about living in Milwaukee, fresh off of a divorce, brand new city, brand new conference, brand new team. I mean, remember that trade happened like 3 weeks before the season started, a month before the season started. So they've been kind of learning on the fly. And then also having a completely different head coaching experience coming from Bud, who was a strong X and O guys, to Griffin, who it sounds like wasn't, to Doc, who is not at all. So they've had a lot of different voices in their ear here, but I think that they've started to hit stride. Again, man, a lot of these teams, I think we'll talk about it with Boston. I'm looking more in this second half, heading into the playoffs. How do you look? And then obviously once we get to the playoffs, that's all that really matters. But I'm not worried about Milwaukee. I think Giannis, if you watch how he's playing this year, he's clearly on a mission. He's taking every single game seriously. And yeah, I'm not surprised they came around, man. It's just going to take a little bit of time. I'm not worried about Doc in the regular season at all. Listen, man, the theme for the Eastern Conference is simple because we're going to move on to Boston, and we can go back to what I said when we did our season preview, which feels like 3 years ago. Don't talk to me about Boston until I don't want to hear about it in the first round. I don't want to talk about them in the second round. I don't want to talk about them in the conference finals. Don't talk to me about Boston until late May, early June. And I think if you're Milwaukee, it's the same thing, right? If Milwaukee has a great regular season and then gets bounced in the second round or even in the Eastern Conference Finals, it's a failure for them. And I know Giannis, my season is not the failure, but like it's a failure for them. So when we talk about, hey, look, when you talk about there's two teams in the East, both of those teams, it's really championship or bust. More so with Boston because they haven't done it. But both of those teams are championship or bust. So when you talk about like, hey, have they turned the corner? Yeah, sure. But the real corner is when the playoffs start. You know, they had an embarrassing exit last year. Boston, same situation, man. So I mean, that's really what it comes down to. But yes, I am more comfortable with the Milwaukee Bucks presently, obviously, than I was 2 weeks ago. And I think it's real.
6-0 since the break. Net rating is number 2 in the NBA behind Boston at 17.6.
They're 8 of 10. They're playing very well.
They're playing really good defense, which is what Doc came in to fix, because overall, with the stuff off the court that Dame is dealing with how poorly he's been shooting it for a majority of the year, we're confident that when it comes down to it, they'll be able to figure it out on offense. It was the defense that we were worried about.
Yeah.
And Doc has come in and shored that up.
Yep.
From the beginning, in the first 5 games, it looked like they were communicating a lot better. They knew exactly what they wanted to do on defense. Now it's to the point where they're actually one of the better defensive teams in the East, and if not the NBA. So Doc has sorted out the defensive side.
And if you look at how they came into the season, I mean, for the first month of their season, their defense was horrendous.
No, it was like, they were like the worst defense in the league.
Yeah, it was ridiculous and not what you came to expect from the Milwaukee Bucks. So yeah, he obviously had to come in and fix that. But again, I'm not worried about them. I think they've turned around. They're clearly the second best team in the Eastern Conference.
So we talk about Milwaukee. I mean, look, let's have a few minutes about the Knicks so we can argue about this, and just so I'm clear.
Obligatory.
Big Nick the Quick and a couple of our homies think I am completely off the rails and a company man now, and I'm Knicks crazy. I am kind of Knicks crazy, man. I really like the Knicks. I am a fan of the Knicks. I work for the Knicks too. So, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah,
do you think healthy?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, talk to me.
I'll stop you there. It comes down to health with them. Obviously, they were playing phenomenal, dealt with some injuries last 10. I think they've won 3 of 10. They're on a bit of a slide right now. Then Brunson got hurt. Was it 2 nights ago? Brunson went down. Do we know where he's at?
Yeah, they're saying it's just like a little knee contusion. He banged knees. He'll be all right.
Yeah, little stuff like that. And we know Tibbs, man, the way that they play, Tibbs really rides his guys, right? So it's not like a situation where you're down a couple guys and Tibbs kind of figures it out. It's kind of an all or nothing proposition with him. But overall, man, I've been saying this all year. The Knicks are the type of team that if you're Boston or even if you're Milwaukee and the Knicks are healthy, you do not want to run into these guys in a 7-game series. They play suffocating defense. They believe they can do it. They have a superstar in Jalen Brunson, right? Let's stop all the bullshit. Jalen Brunson is a superstar in this league. They have the reinforcements with Anunoby, with Bogdanovich. If Randall is healthy and has his head right, can be devastating. So it really comes down to if they're healthy in the playoffs and what their mindset's going to be. But I would not want to play the New York Knicks in a 7-game series. They give me strong Miami Heat type vibes of this is the type of team that's going to make it very, very difficult for you. And we know about it in the playoffs, defense travels, right? Defense travels. You might have an off shooting night, but defensive teams tend to get it done in the playoffs. And the Knicks are at the top of the heap when it comes to defensive teams when they are healthy. So, yeah, I mean, I know we give you a lot of shit on your Knicks takes and everything, but I will say this, that's a really good team. To me, that is probably the 3rd or 4th best team in the Eastern Conference when fully healthy. The only thing that I'm worried about with them is that they continue to slide. They're going to find themselves in a tough spot as far as playoff seeding. That's just how tight it is in the league in general right now. But I think that they want to be in that 3rd, 4th spot. But with these injuries, they could find themselves in that 6th, 7th spot, which would be ugly.
Yeah, look.
That's my biggest concern for them. So how many games are they behind Orlando? So, yeah, I mean, it's all bunched up between that. Indiana, Miami, Orlando, Philly, and New York are all pretty much within 2 games of each other. So I think you
Knicks.
find yourself at the bottom of that heap, and you have to play Boston in the first round or something like that. Which I know I said that they'd be a scary team.
Well,
for
they're
Boston.
not
I
going
don't
to
know
be.
if I want to
They're
see
not going to
Boston
be
do it.
the 8 though. That's not happening. So you don't have to worry about that. I think the Knicks will be. I want that 4 or 5. I want that Heat. The Heat rematch. Give me the 4 or 5. Knicks Heat in round 1. Get them boys out the way early.
Yeah.
Knicks 11-1 with Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, and OG Anunoby all together. In 12 games, offensive rating 128.5, defensive rating 103.9. Opponent field goal percentage under 44%. They were stifling people.
Stifling defense.
They were unbelievable with the whole crew locked and loaded over there. So let's see what happens on the injury side. If they can get Mitchell Robinson back too, that would be really massive. So yeah, I think the Knicks have an Eastern Conference Finals run in them. Genuinely. They're unbelievably deep now. They're going to be guys that are getting DMPs that actually could play good minutes in the playoffs, in my opinion.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm excited to see how it shakes.
I like the pickup of
Shake
man,
Milton.
We just talked about Shake Milton. Shake Milton, look, man, irrational confidence guy, type of guy that can come in on a game, swing a game, right? Believes he can do it, has 100% put up numbers in this league. Shake had some moments in Philly, so I like that, especially signing him for free and you needed guard depth. That's a great move. That's a smart move.
Yeah,
even if he doesn't play, it's a smart move because he can play if he needs to play.
Yeah, they got a few delusional dudes that I love on the team.
I love
Alec
delusional
Burks,
guys, man.
Alec Burks,
yeah,
he'll get him
Alec
up,
Burks,
no problem.
Yeah. Remember Eddie House on the Boston? Delusional
Delusional
guys will carry you in some games, man.
Yeah, man.
Nate Robinson had some moments for the Bulls. Shout out Nate Rob.
Yeah, man. Shout out to delusional Hall of Famer Ben Gordon.
Ben Gordon was chief of delusion.
Chief delusional Hall of Famer.
Bucket was always big. Bucket was still big.
He was, man.
Ben's driving down the street and sees a bucket. It's massive. It's like a hula hoop.
No doubt. All right. Now let's talk about let's spend a few minutes here on Boston because
real quick though, before we go there,
yeah.
Do we have anything for Philly? Obviously, the NBA.
No,
do we have
nothing.
anything for Cleveland? Are these guys just happy to be here?
I don't think. My personal opinion is I don't think Embiid's coming back.
Yeah, I don't think he's coming back either.
I think this is a lot of nothing.
Can we flex them off of national TV games? I've never seen a team have more national games. Philly, every single game of Phillies is nationally televised.
Yeah. Hey man, they have the MVP.
Shut up, Maxey.
The Buddy Hield edition was on some like, hey, we're not giving up on the year type shit.
Yeah.
I personally think that he's not going to come back at all. And if he does, there's not going to be enough time to get back right.
Yeah.
First of all, he wasn't in the best shape anyway. He was in good shape.
Has he ever really been?
I think last year in his MVP run, he was in better shape than he was this year, earlier in the year.
Dominating this year.
Like there was a lot of spots where I'm like, man, he's not in as good shape as he was last year. Now, I don't think he's coming back just because the knee injury is too sensitive. And he's going to kind of look at it as in the grand scheme and be like, this is not the time to try to make a run for the title.
Let me wait out this Boston thing.
Yes, 100%. I think he just ends up not coming back. But if he does come back, I don't think there's enough time when he comes. Nick, how many games are left? 20?
Yeah.
Like, was he going to come back 10 games and then have to play Cleveland?
Yeah.
Or whoever? I just don't think there's enough time.
And be relied upon
and actually gel.
And be relied. He has to dominate. You can't just have Joel Embiid out there running sprints.
Right. No, like he's going to need to come in and be right back to what he was doing earlier
on both sides of the floor. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so sure. I just think that's too tall of an order for him. So I'm not really thinking about Philly and Cleveland. What? And Nick, answer this. What was Cleveland built around?
Two bigs,
and then they went and got a pure bucket who was an elite bucket getter in Donovan Mitchell. Now, the Cleveland Cavaliers and their fans weren't counting on one of the bigs being a lot more soft is such a strong word, but Evan Mobley is not as dominant as a lot of people thought he was going to be.
He's a really nice player. He's a very nice player.
Really nice player.
Yeah.
Very skilled.
He doesn't have the proverbial dog in him.
Yes. he doesn't necessarily want to bang around.
No, he's not.
They would need him. Like he should be dominant, and he's not. All right.
If you could combine Jared Allen and Evan Mobley into one player, you'd have an all-world NBA big.
You'd have an NBA first, second team All NBA guy.
Yeah, if you take the ruggedness of Allen with the skill of Mobley, yeah, for sure. And Allen's Allen's rugged.
And that's what we were counting on when we're talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers. Evan Mobley is going to be offensively a juggernaut, and he's going to be able to impact by the rim. And he's just like mediocre on both sides of that. So Nick, I'm really trying to remove soft from my vernacular.
I hear you. Yeah, I know what you're trying to say though. Yeah.
It's just it's too strong, but
yeah.
He should be more dominant than he is. And that was what they were banking on. So, and he was really exposed last year in the playoffs.
Both of them were. The two big situation for them was absolutely. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of some of those Jazz series with Gobert when it would be like, yeah, in the regular season, this is great. Over 7 games, we're gonna. Who was my hands on the Clippers? That was absolutely. Was it Terrence Mann? The Terrence Mann was just torching the Jazz that series, and Gobert and the pick and roll was just torching.
Yeah, I think Terrence Mann had a game where he scored 40.
Yeah, he was just torching them.
Yeah, he was going crazy.
Yeah.
And then that's also why Donovan Mitchell was like, dude, get me out of here, bro.
And then he sent him with two guys like that.
Yeah, like I'm cool. Yeah, now he's got 2 dudes. Like, yeah, exactly.
And Karis LeVert.
Yes, and LeVert. Darius Garland starting to come back around a little bit.
Talk about irrational
coming off the injury. But what I'm getting
you're not
at
worried
is
about them. Yeah, we're not.
Their
worried.
plan
Okay,
was to have 2 dominant bigs and Donovan Mitchell, and they have 1.5 dominant bigs, and one can't play offense. And then Donovan is being tasked with scoring 35 a night, and it's going to be very difficult. So I'm not really worried about them. So I think it's only 3 teams coming out.
We're writing off Indy. Right, it was a nice story, but
no, they're actually going to be. They're actually going to be really good. Halliburton
7 games over 7 games. I'm not concerned about them over 7 games.
Yeah, exactly.
I told you defense travels. No defense also does as well. And over 7 games, good teams are gonna figure that out very quickly.
And also Halliburton offensively has been struggling a little bit as of late. I'm not sure what's going on there, but he was like 4 of 15 the other night.
Those 50-foot rainbow threes anymore.
Yeah,
he was hot. He was hot
going
around
into
that in-season tournament time. Like he was just hot.
Yeah, that seems like forever ago. By the way,
it really does. Yeah,
but also I think just it might be a little post All-Star game letdown. Like he was so good going into the break. It was so much about him at the All-Star break, and then coming out, it's like a little bit of a. He took a deep exhale, and now he's not playing as good a ball as he was.
It's separation time. This is when the cream kind of rises to the top. Yes. Like I said, this is the stretch. This is the hallway. You know what I mean? This is kind of what we've been leading up to.
Listen, post All-Star break, Boston Celtics 5-0, Milwaukee 6-0, Denver 6-0.
Exactly.
So look, the Thunder 5-2. Like these are the teams coming out of the break that are actually spooky.
And Denver, who's being talked about, like, you know, they're kind of coasting. Denver is coasting at what? 23 games over 500. Yeah. So, you know, like, it's interesting.
All right, let's talk about Boston.
Let's do it. Hey, man. Simple.
It is simple, man.
It's simple. I don't care about this.
Let me give it. Yeah, no. We're gonna say this just so we don't repeat ourselves for something that we've been saying for 5 years in a row.
Every year.
Every year, it's just like, look, man. I don't want to. This is great. They're sick. They got a great squad. They're deep.
Great.
Derek White.
They could go 74-8. It doesn't matter.
Holiday. Awesome.
Great. Porzingis, if he's healthy, phenomenal. Tatum, Brown.
They said Missoula's hanging out with Pep Guardiola and talking Man City tactics.
Wonderful.
If you read, that's actually a really good read. Go check that article out.
Yeah.
It was on The Athletic. He basically was talking about Joe Mazzulla and Pep of Man City, probably the best manager in world football, which is an interesting conversation because he always has also the best players in the world.
Yeah.
So it's tough. I don't know. That's always the chicken and the egg with like Steve Kerr, best coach in the NBA. And like during that stretch, and it's like, yeah, I mean, I guess. Yeah. I guess he was.
I don't want to turn this into Steve Kerr slander, but yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Shout out.
I'm with you. Shout out Steve Kerr. Great basketball life. What a basketball life.
What a basketball life is
right. What a basketball life.
What a basketball. Yo, one of the best basketball. We should do. Yo.
They need to remember a football life. They need to make a basketball life.
Football life. We should do a episode about the best basketball lives.
Oh, Jalen Rose, Hall of Fame basketball life.
Dude, I think Steve Kerr might be at the
Steve Kerr has the best basketball life.
I think Steve Kerr might be at the top of the list, brother.
He's up there. Because he got all the jewelry.
Got all the jewelry.
Iconic teams, iconic Bulls teams, iconic Spurs teams, iconic Warriors teams.
And was a major part in the Bulls and the Warriors piece.
Yeah, and universally acclaimed.
He now
played for
one of the best 3-point shooters of all time.
Played for Pop and Phil Jackson, so he's crossed paths with the greatest coaches in NBA history.
Just got an extension.
Yeah, easy.
Steve Kerr, potentially the best basketball life of all time.
Had the back surgery, so now he's good. He's standing upright. He's ready to go.
Yeah, bro. Outside of LeBron and like Mike, who don't count, man, Steve Kerr might be up there.
Steve's is different though. LeBron's basketball life has been stressful. I don't know if Steve's been stressing like that.
Yeah, that's a great point.
He kind of been LeBron has to carry a lot. Like, it's a great career, but it's tough. Steve is like, I'm good, and I'm out in the Bay. This is wonderful. You know what I mean? I'm chilling.
Dude, Steve Kerr, maybe the best basketball life of all time. Stress levels have been pretty low his entire career.
He's been playing with house money for 5 years. Last championship was house money, if we're being honest. He's been playing with house money since.
He has had to deal with Draymond though.
That's whatever. That's the cost of doing. That's it. That's the tax.
That's the only stress.
We all got to pay taxes.
Steve Kerr, the best basketball life in the history of the NBA, potentially. We'll get back to this and have a conversation. Shout out Steve Kerr. What a basketball life. Just signed an extension. Salute to Steve Kerr and his family.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Boston Celtics.
Finally.
We know that not much to believe until we get to the playoffs and see what they do there. There's nothing to talk about. We knew coming into the year when they signed Porzingis and Drew Holiday, this is exactly what they would look like in the regular season.
Without a doubt.
Every single night, they're double-digit favorites. Every single night, if you want to back them and they're in Boston, you got to lay 14. I don't care who it is, who they're playing. Tatum isn't going to be putting up MVP numbers because he only has to score 25 a night because he's getting 25, 20, 15 from 3 other cats. So, no, he's not in the MVP conversation. Stop that shit.
Was never going to be though. Even if he put up 30 a game this year, the team, the way that people look at that team, even though normally the best player on the best team is in the MVP conversation, that people just don't look at him that way. Which is a whole nother conversation for another day. But
I mean,
I don't think he's nothing he could have done to win the MVP.
I'll tell you this: if they would have did some shit like 73-9 type shit, and he was averaging 28, he'd be right there. But they're going to end up losing like 14, 15 games, and he's going to score 26 a night. That's not enough.
Yeah,
they'd have to be on a historic type of pace for him to win MVP. So anyway. So we don't repeat ourselves because I'm looking at this shit as a bettor. I'm a bettor. I'm looking to fire and make money, and I'm not the biggest futures guy, but this Celtics team to win the East at still plus money, even though it's a short plus money.
What is it?
It's like plus 110 or something, right around that number. My question, Nick, is. Are the Celtics going to win the East? Are they going to beat Milwaukee? And should we be betting them right now at plus 105, plus 110? Or do we wait for the playoffs to start?
Nah, if you're going to do it now. That's not going to stay. That number is only going to get worse. I don't think that they're going to struggle early in the playoffs, first off. Depending on matchup. Listen, man, I think, the answer is yes. If you can get it at plus money right now, it's not going to get any better. Certain situations you got to fire on. So if you like Boston, this is the best time to do it. And man, we
Do
just learned in
they win
the
the East?
NFL. Go ahead.
Do they win the East?
Yeah, I think so. I'd be surprised if they didn't, but I'd also wouldn't be shocked if they didn't. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
Like, again, we've seen them be fragile over the last 2 playoff series, whether it's falling apart against the Warriors in the finals 2 years ago, whether it's the situation with the Heat last year, which, again, they went down 3-0, came back, won 3 straight, and then fell in game 7, but ultimately should never foul themselves in that situation. Listen, man, we talked about it. Yeah, they brought in Porzingis, right? They stole Drew Holiday. Derek White's gotten better. Obviously, Tatum and Brown are going to get better. Another year at Missoula, being a head coach, he's going to get better, right? This team was lined up to be 48-12 at this point. This team is set up to win 60-plus games. This team is set up to be the overwhelming favorite in the Eastern Conference going into the playoffs. None of that matters until push comes to shove. And there's going to be that moment for them this year in the playoffs where shit gets thick. And what's going to happen? Because the last couple times we've seen it, we've seen these boys wilter, right? Whether that's Tatum in the Golden State series completely shrinking in fourth quarters, or the team overall just getting punched in the mouth by the Miami Heat last year. You can't unsee shit like that. So I get it's a different team. They brought in some other pieces. They look dominant. They looked dominant at times last year. They looked dominant the year before under Udoka. Remember that team? They started off slow the first half of the season. Second half of the year, that year they went to the finals. They were the best team in the NBA. It wasn't even close. So none of this is new for the Boston Celtics. It's the same story we've been talking about for the past 2 years. None of it matters unless – and it's not even get to the finals. If they get to the finals and they go 7 games and they lose in game 7, it is a disappointment. This is probably the most built for the finals team that we've had in the NBA since Kevin Durant joined the Warriors. I'll say that. You name me another team that was more built for the finals going into the season. Like, that's it. It's not built to get to the finals. It's not built to power through the playoffs. It is built to win a championship. That is it. Nothing short. I don't care if it's game 7 and it's 100-99 and you lose on a fucking It does not matter. It does not matter.
Yeah. Hey,
it doesn't.
Nick, interesting. So shout out my guy Matt Moore at Action Network. He sent through a site that shows the odds of what each team was to win the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference before they did it last year. Last year, guess what the Miami Heat were to win the East at the start of round 1?
Plus 850.
60-1, plus 6,000.
No, that's crazy. I wasn't
preseason, they were plus 800.
Wait, what? So they got work because they had such a bad regular season?
Yeah, they had such a bad regular season. They went through this play-in, they snuck in plus 6,000 to win the East.
There's someone that fired, right?
I don't know, man. Maybe. But the year prior, Boston was plus 140. So the last time there was someone minus money to win the East was going into round 1 was the 2016-2017 Cavs. They were minus 210, and then the year before that they were minus 233, minus 225, and all three. Look, and then before that it's all LeBron, and they all won the East.
Yeah, those are
Cavs, Miami. We know like LeBron went to the finals 8 straight years. So, and then Toronto going in was plus 178. They ended up winning that year.
Really, Toronto was plus 178 going in that year? So that was a really good Philly team. There were some other really good teams that year.
Yeah, plus 178. Here, I'll tell you right now. Plus 178. They weren't
necessarily dominant in the regular season. Kawhi only played like 50 games.
Going into round 1. In the conference finals, though, plus 230. So you could have got him at plus 230 to start the conference
Milwaukee,
finals. Right? Yeah, that's against Milwaukee.
Philly was the Kawhi shot, and
that's when
Milwaukee.
That's when Nick Nurse put the wall up on his ass.
Yeah, the Giannis wall. Oh,
yeah,
God.
Pretty sure that was it.
Man,
basketball
porn. The Giannis wall was.
It really was. Like, there's so many series over the years. I get it jumbled up without like what round was what, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the Giannis wall.
Yeah, because Kawhi was hurt that series. He was very hurt.
Yeah,
and he was hurt in the finals. Yeah.
And still got it done. All-time performance from Kawhi Leonard.
Guy. Man, flat jumper.
That's one of the most impressive playoff runs in history of the NBA for me.
He showed up. He showed up in a town, played half the games, and then took them boys to the finals, and then left.
Yes, it's actually unbelievable.
Yeah, changed everybody's life. Got Siakam paid. Got Van Vliet paid. Got Kyle Lowry paid. Got all these boys paid.
Made our boy Masai untouchable.
Untouchable. Nick Nurse is now immortal. Yeah, got all those boys. He got everybody paid. He got all those guys are paid. Who's my man that's still there? Chris Boucher. Boucher got paid. Hey, Norm Powell got paid.
Shout out Norm, man.
Big time Norm,
my guy Norm Powell, man.
Didn't say a word. Got all those boys paid. Got them jewelry. He was like, all right.
Okay, so I think Boston wins the East as well.
Without a doubt.
I'm really thinking about firing a hefty ticket here in the next week or so because I'm worried that come the start of the playoffs, it's going to be like minus 150.
Yeah, it will be. I don't see it getting. I don't see it. No.
But Nick, if Milwaukee continues to hoop and they close strong and lose 3 or 4 games the rest of the way, people are going to talk themselves into Milwaukee, and maybe it doesn't move
the one
that
to take.
much.
What is Milwaukee at? Was it two something?
Like plus 235, plus 240.
Yeah. That might be your better. That might be if you're trying to get a better number. Roll the dice with Milwaukee.
I'm trying to pick the winner, and I think it's Boston.
Yeah, I don't. But I wouldn't bet against Boston right now in the East.
I'm just trying to figure out what price I would have to pay because then I can avoid injuries. I can wait till the start of the playoffs at the very least. Who knows what happens these next 10, 15, 20 games. You know how it goes. Yeah. But stay tuned on that. I'd
probably fire on it.
Yeah, stay tuned. I mean, anything can happen with anything can happen. It's fucking life. Yeah. So I would try to fire as close to the playoffs as I could, but I'm just not sure how long that plus 105, plus 110, plus 115 is going to be out there. But stay tuned because people are going to talk themselves into Milwaukee if they continue to play like this. All right, let's go over to the Western Conference. Boy, oh boy.
Man.
Big Nick the Quick. There is 10 teams.
Yeah.
Probably 10 good teams in the West.
Yes.
Some really good, some good. 2 of those teams aren't going to make the playoffs, Nick. Not everybody can make the playoffs.
Yep.
My 2 out are Sacramento and the Pelicans.
Wow. Why the Pelicans? The Pelicans is an interesting one.
Well, then give me your 2. That's what I'm saying. All right. So, okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is there's 10 good teams in the West. 2 can't make it. I mean, hey, between me and you, who's the next one out after New Orleans?
LeBron.
Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix is listen, man.
But I got so much respect for Kevin Durant and D Book. I don't want to do that to him, but
that's how I feel about Dallas.
Brother, if they played a 7-game series against the Pelicans, that shit. There's not a 7-game series Phoenix is not going to struggle through in the West right now. Yeah. So it's tough, man. They're asking a lot of those 3 guys, and then the third guy is never there.
Well, I could have told you that. I could have told you that coming into the year. You want to rely on a guy who hasn't played meaningful basketball in 5 years. He's just been in the Capitol bullshitting for the last half a decade. Yeah, and you expect him to turn it up and, come on, man. But they didn't. One day we'll look back and understand that was the mistake that was going out to get Brad Beal. You had enough with Booker and Durant. You could have taken whatever you got to go get Beal and surround him with some depth, maybe a big man that's competent, so you're not relying on Jusuf Nurkic to play 40 minutes a night in the playoffs and bowl. Like it's real. Your playoff. The problem with them, their playoff top 8, right? It's 8 or 9 guys that you're going to the playoffs. You're not going deeper than that.
Not even really 8 tops.
8. It gets really shaky after like guy 3 or 4 for them, right? When you start getting to 6, 7, 8. It's very shaky. The bigs, very shaky. I understand Bol.
No, they don't. No. Fuck shaky. They don't have any bigs.
They don't have any bigs. So, and then Brad Beal is a question mark nightly. So, yeah, I'm very off on that team. When you start talking about the Western Conference, I don't even think about the Phoenix Suns, to be completely honest with you, because they're so inconsistent. There's so many health issues, and they just don't have the depth. They're an injury away from being a quick out. So let's not even talk about that. Stephen A brought up a good point, too. Kevin Durant hasn't been out of the second round since Golden State, which is pretty crazy.
It's not by his doing. I'll tell you that, though.
Yeah, well, he was there.
It's it's not by his doing. I get that because I've heard the rumblings on Durant and this that.
Yeah.
But brother,
We are piling on Durant. There's been a lot of Durant piling on.
No, well, but he's been putting a lot of those situations on his back and doing every single thing he can to get teams to the next round, and he's just getting no help. Like that run in Brooklyn.
That was nice.
Dude, he was going ballistic. He had no help, zero, none, and he almost beat Milwaukee by himself.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not doing that.
But when it comes to the Phoenix Suns, that's where I'm at with them. But you start talking about who the other teams that could be out. Yeah, it could be Phoenix. It could be Dallas, who seems to be very inconsistent. I texted you this a couple weeks ago. Dallas to me is shaky over 7 games because they get very Luka heavy, right? As much as it can look really good when they're rolling and sharing the ball, there's also times where you watch them and their offense just gets junky. It slows down and it becomes the Luka watch fest. And I don't love that over 7 games. I really don't. So like I'm kind of worried about them. I know everybody loves them, but I'm worried about Dallas, man. So I don't know. It gets
the two teams I loved coming out of the break have been inconsistent coming out. Dallas and the Clippers.
Oh, the Clippers?
Yeah. And they both been a little inconsistent. But
Clippers should have won last night.
Who?
Clippers should have won last night.
Yeah, they ran out of gas. They were tired. You call it what it is. Off the back-to-back.
Back-to-back against the Timberwolves.
But I tweeted this, Nick. In crunch time, you can't go 3.5 minutes with no baskets with that roster. That's fucking nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, that can't happen, brother.
So let me ask you this. It is, right? But we're pretty much asking, when we start talking about 7-game series, what we're really saying is 7-game series against the Denver Nuggets, right? Can this team win a 7-game series against the Denver Nuggets? Who in the West can win a 7-game series against the Denver Nuggets? Can the Timberwolves win a 7-game series against them? Can the Thunder? Can the Clippers? Can the Pelicans? Can the Suns? I don't think the Mavs. I don't think the Kings. I don't think the Lakers. And I don't think the Warriors can.
Well,
so really, can the Minnesota Timberwolves, right, who have been great from start to finish this year, right? But still, if we're being honest, on the court, I have no problems with them. They are still goofy and immature. You cannot miss tip-off of an NBA game.
Okay, so those who don't know what Nick is talking about, Ant-Man Anthony Edwards was late to tip. It didn't start last night.
How?
So, yeah, that's
and you go back to they've done goofy shit this year. The whole cat trying to get 60. Like, yo, you guys are in a championship race. You can't be doing goofy shit like that. Like, that's and like, listen, man, like that type of shit matters. Like, it's like, yo, we can't. I don't know where Conley or whoever some of these guys are that are supposed to stop that shit, but it's like, hey, we can't be doing shit like this when we're trying to win a title. You can't miss tip-off. We can't punt on a game because we want Karl Anthony Towns to get 60 points. Like, we can't be doing goofy shit like that. Like, you got to be locked from start to finish, especially when we're a younger team, right? And we haven't won before. We can't afford to take nights off. We're not the Warriors in Boston yet on Sunday, right? Like, we can't just take a game off. Like, we need to be locked in. We can't be bullshit. This close to the playoffs, I love Ant. You know, we've been Ant Edwards guys since day one. Love his game, love his attitude, love his mentality, fuck with his shoes, like great guy. But you can't be doing shit like that going to the playoffs. And you know, we're very lenient. We're player-friendly guys. We understand having a good time and all that. But work is work, man. You got to show up ready to work. You cannot be doing shit like that in March. So that does concern me about that team when we're tasking them with knocking off the Denver Nuggets. So Oklahoma City, is that your squad? Maybe. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander might be the best player in the NBA right now, or second or third best player in the NBA right now. Can they beat Denver in 7 games? A healthy Denver? I don't know. I think the team that gives you the best shot is realistically the Clippers.
The nasty thing about that sentence and the Nuggets is the answer to that question is nobody.
No
matter
the
what
Clippers
team
might give you the best shot.
I mean, I almost want to say you could put Celtics in like that sentence. Who can beat the Boston, the Denver Nuggets in 7 games, especially if they have to go to Denver?
Yeah, you're playing that altitude.
It's a spooky proposition, bro.
Yeah,
very. So,
to me, the Clippers are the only team I could realistically see because the Clippers have the horses to do it. I don't think Minnesota's best series can beat Denver in 7. I don't think Oklahoma City's best series can beat Denver in 7. I think the Clippers are really the only team in the Western Conference slate that can. Now, what's going to be fun about the Western Conference playoffs is going to be a bloodbath. I can't tell you who gets there. I can't tell you who they see in the conference finals, because that's where it's going to be really fun. I think Denver rolls through, but
let me ask you this,
be great,
because I think Dallas has a shot too, just because they got a superstar that could slow up the game and get in the half court.
Yeah,
and if they could,
the game, all right,
they
He'll slow it up, fucking tires and mud. Sometimes, Lord.
So they got a guy in Luka that can slow it down in the half if necessary. And I don't know, man. Derek Lively is going to get eaten alive by Jokic, but that's literally everybody.
But
every person you name is going to Jokic is going to eat them alive.
And stop them. Yeah,
facts. So when it comes to Denver and yeah, man, I don't know who can beat those dudes.
Jamal Murray is healthy is what it really comes down to. That's it. If Murray is fully 100% going into the playoffs, it's a tough team to beat.
Now, look, I will say this to get out of here, and then we'll get to I got a couple questions for you when it comes to the NBA. In hindsight, if you look at the route to a title for the Nuggets, it was fairly easy last year. This year, it's going to be a lot tougher. Go through it round by round. They played Minnesota, who didn't really put it together until like the last 10 or 12 games of the season.
It really was the end of the season, yeah.
Like the last 10 or 12 games of the season, they put it together, and Denver's on record saying that was the toughest out of the playoffs. They played Minnesota. They played a Lakers team that they swept the Lakers.
Yeah.
The Lakers were a good story, cool. They got to the Western Conference Finals. Who did Denver play in the second round? Look that up for me real quick.
Sacramento.
So the Lakers, was it the Warriors? No, Warriors lost to the Lakers. See, this is what I'm talking about. I get jumbled up and I forget.
Yeah,
but
it was
overall, the Denver Nuggets route to the title ends up being pretty soft. They play Minnesota. They play the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals.
It was the Suns. Remember the Suns?
Oh, they play the Suns, who didn't have enough. They beat up on the Suns. And that was year one of that Kevin Durant Suns experiment. So when you look back on it, Minnesota Timberwolves just put it together. Durant was in year one with Phoenix. The Lakers were exhausted and beat up and tired, never had a chance in that series. They got swept. And then they played the Miami Heat, who went on the sun run of all sun runs to get to the finals. Jimmy Butler was absolutely depleted in that, and they ended up beating up on the Miami Heat.
He was cooked.
The route this year is going to be a lot more treacherous throughout the West. So maybe they won't be as energized when they get to Boston or Milwaukee in the finals. So stay tuned there. I still think Denver is fucking legitimate. And you can get an exacta right now over at FanDuel, like plus 440 on Celtics Nuggets.
I was going to say, I mean, we're on a crash course of Celtics Nuggets. So I mean, if you're feeling confident, and go ahead and fire on that.
If that tickles your fancy, go check that out. Plus 440-ish right now for that exacta matchup. All right, Big Nick the Quick. I'm going to get you out of here on a couple questions before we get to the draft. Who are you taking in a 7-game series? The Miami, right now, if it tipped tomorrow, the Miami Heat or the Oklahoma City Thunder?
God. What a question.
Yo, so I'm going to give you some time to stew on it. I was thinking about this as I had my tea last night before I went to sleep, and I was racking my brain. I went back and forth like 2 or 3 times. And it's a really difficult question because I'm a big believer in Oklahoma City and what they've been doing. But I'm also a big believer in Spo.
I was about to say, would Spo run coaching circles around Dagnall? Is it Dagnall? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Dagnall, yeah.
Dagnall's doing a great job, but with the thing with Spo over 7 games is that's what he does. Like he has a very good understanding of what to do after game 1, or of what to do going into game 1 that knocks you off your rocker. Like Miami will pull out
and
that
puts
game.
you in a tailspin the rest of the series.
And I don't know what. Then he goes to that zone, and you really don't know what to do. Like Spo's zone usage. Like, let's talk about it, right? When he decides to go to that zone, I have seen teams crumble. We don't know what to do because he goes out of it on nowhere. He pulls it out of nowhere, pause, and like it's teams have no idea what to do. So it's a chess game with him. And I don't know, look, Daigneault, great fun young team. He hasn't been in that kind of war before. He hasn't.
Nobody has. Nobody on that roster has.
Nobody has been in that type of situation. And then when it gets to playoff time, you see it now. Jimmy's starting to rev up a bit. Like these guys, it's different, man. Like it's not hyperbole. It's not like it's a real thing that when the playoffs start and the competition gets up, Jimmy takes it up another level, takes his guys up to another level, and Spo starts playing chess.
Well,
so I would be very concerned in that series because I would be concerned about their ability to recover from a game one smackdown. Like if they come out and get smacked by Miami, I don't know if they can then.
But they haven't got smacked by anybody really all year. That's the thing.
They haven't played. But we've seen it with these young teams like this. These young teams like this go out every night and want to win. And that's just not the case in every team in the NBA. Remember those Bulls teams, those Tibbs teams? They would go. Sometimes you just catch guys who don't want to play. We just saw it on Sunday with the Warriors. Certain NBA teams just don't want to play on certain nights. And if you're a young team that takes advantage of that, you could find yourself at 42-19 if you're really, really, really good. But when you get to the playoffs and every game matters, every possession matters, you're going over 7 games. I'm reviewing you every single night trying to figure out how to stop you, right? So I'm looking at these Shai Gilgeous-Alexander angles and how can we cut those off? Instead of trying to beat you a random Tuesday in March, I got a week and a half with you, right? Like I'm looking at everything. I know everything. It changes. That's why you see certain teams that do well in the playoffs. The shit changes.
Jimmy Butler probably sending ladies to the hotel.
Doing the whole what? Filthy work. And Jimmy Wood.
Hey man, I need y'all to stop at Hotel 1.
SGA like
Beach,
somehow.
man.
Hey.
Look for a dude, tall, slender dude. He gonna be dressed up crazy.
Jokes. So many giddy jokes I can't get off.
There's a little short. There's a little short. There's a short Haitian dude. You'll see him. He looks Haitian. Talk to him.
Yeah, let's talk to
he goes by Lou. Like also, Also, I'll say this, bro. They need Shai to score 30
every night,
and he has been over 7. With Spo saying I can't have this guy score 30 is a very tough proposition.
And stretches where Jimmy says I got this.
Yes, correct. You saw it last night. SGA scored 20 versus the Lakers. They lost. They got beat up.
Yeah.
After that first quarter, they got beat up. So the answer is the Heat then?
It's hard for me not to say the Heat. I'm taking the Heat. The Heat. If I had to put my money on it, gun to the head, it's the Heat.
Yeah.
I'll go down on that boat. That's fine with me.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's tough. TBD
We've just
for me.
Seen them beat up. We've really seen them beat up on mentally weaker teams consistently. I'm not calling the Thunder weak. It's just we don't know what they are quite. They haven't been in this situation at all. None of them. Like not a single guy on that roster has been through this. They don't really. Who's their vet?
SGA.
Yeah.
SGA is that's the vet. He is the vet. That's the senior guy on their squad.
Yeah.
All right. Is Victor Wembanyama a top 10 guy right now?
Man, he's on his fucking way. I'll tell you that. I watched Wemby the other night, and he's out here doing shit that it's kind of silly. Even some routine shit I put in the group chat the other day. They had ran a play where essentially it ran through Wemby, and he just had to make a little dump off pass.
Yeah.
And for a 19-year-old 7'4" guy, rookie, just to be able to execute that so smoothly. Right. In addition to the fact that in that game, I think he had like 35, 12, and 5, and maybe another 5 on top of that. Yeah, we're getting there. I'll put it this: he's a top 10 value guy, right? Like I don't know if there's 10 guys that you could trade for me straight up for Victor Wembanyama. Like strap in. I tweeted this the other night. I don't care.
Well, I don't think there's anybody. I don't think there's anybody that you would trade for Victor right now.
It is awful to watch the Spurs. For the record, if you watch any Spurs basketball, it's a really bad team. But he is worth it, man. He's box office. So yeah, for sure. Yeah. Fuck yeah, he's top 10. Get out of here.
There you go.
He's so good.
You
been watching?
You watching? Yeah. I'm locked in. Man. Dude,
he's ridiculous.
What really shocks me is the handle, bro.
Yeah.
He actually has like handle.
It's a tight handle. Yes.
It's like a tight handle for a guy that big. He's just very smooth, man. The limberness as well. Whatever he's doing on the off season and in between, very flexible. Doesn't look like what's a good example of like a guy like Greg Oden and even like Embiid at the start of his career. He looked like he was going to get hurt when he moved around.
Right.
Victor doesn't strike me as that. I don't think like this dude's going to break down.
Yeah.
Like I really don't. He moves that fluid. So,
and there's a basketball too there and see when you see him play too. Like he moves like he understands what he's supposed to be doing. Yeah, I think that that's a scary prospect.
Yeah, he's very spooky right now. He's 19.
Very spooky prospect.
Dog, he's going to be able to get 6 NBA seasons under his belt, and he's going to be 24, 25 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
That's unbelievable. So shout out
Put some talent around him. I said it the other day, man. If I'm San Antonio, I'm not slow rolling this. I'm bringing in good players.
Hey, my
guy, you don't need to go compete for a championship, but bring in some good players. Like bring in some heady vets. Bring in some guys. Surround him with the right things right now. Don't keep fucking around.
Well, let me talk to you about this. My guy, Big Waz of the Ringer, he thinks they should go get Trae Young, pair him with Trae Young, and just have Trae Young throw him lobs over and over and over and over and over. Like that's
taking the ball out of Wembanyama's hand the best thing, or do you want to get something where the ball?
Well, if you give him a pure point, the directive
a pure point in the sense that he holds the ball most of the time.
The directive will be, hey, throw the ball down the big fella. That's it.
I think Trae, who we know is a team player, he's really going to listen to that and be like, sure.
Well, look, I mean, hey, let's have a conversation about Trae Young really quick. He was given the keys to the franchise, and they haven't done anything since going to the Eastern Conference Finals once.
Yeah,
and as in.
Well, they tried. They tried to make the Murray deal.
Well, that's what I mean. Well, that's exactly what I'm getting at. They've tried to let this guy run the franchise and be the marquee guy, and either his gameplay or him as a leader or whatever you want to say about it, it hasn't worked. They tried, it hasn't worked. So if he were to somehow get to San Antonio, it would have to be clear to him that, bro, you're the number 2 down here, dog. And he would know that. Obviously, we don't know if this is going to happen. This is just a hypothetical. But
yeah, I like it.
Yeah, Trae Young being the number 1 guy.
Trae Young will get him the ball. They have nobody to get him the ball right now.
Right. They have no dude. That's exactly what I'm getting. They have no one to get him the ball.
It's shameful.
Yeah,
it's shameful to put that guy without a point guard.
Just get him a point guard, and then you could really start seeing some crazy shit from Wemby.
Conley.
Lobs, the whole thing.
Great Mike Conley spot.
Shout out Mike Conley.
Shout out Mike. Money Mike. Remember when he was the highest paid player in the league at one point?
No doubt. Remember when Jaylen Brown was the highest paid player in the league?
Shout out Jaylen Brown.
All right, let's get off the NBA. I knew we were gonna fly through an hour right there with ease. So let's move over to a little Russell Wilson talk.
Big money, Russ.
Dead cap numbers 85 million. That's something I've never ever in the history of my life thought I would say. Hold on, man. What's the entire cap? Like, what is even the entire cap, bro?
88 million.
NFL
I think it's up to 200. It's like 210 or 215.
Yeah, it's
the highest it's ever been.
255.
255. So he's taking up a third of the cap.
He's taking up almost 34% of the cap. And he's not around. The 2 lockers are no more. The office is no more. Yeah, you remember when he first got to town?
Yeah, he had an office.
He had an office, right? Russ was doing all types of shit.
Russ had a secretary.
Sean Payton came in and said, nah. Look at this. And by the way, bro, I didn't like. Look, I'm not the biggest Russell Wilson guy. I actually think Russell can play.
He had a great year last year. I thought he was fine.
I don't like how Sean Payton handled that shit, man.
I don't like how he handled it now one bit.
That shit was highly disrespectful. Just, man, what do we always talk about, Nick? This shit is man-to-man first. Then it's hoops. Yeah. And then it's NFL. And then it's media. And then it's all this other stuff. Like, man-to-man, dog, like, the way he handled that shit was disrespectful.
Dressing him down on the sidelines like that. Like, you never see a head coach talk to a veteran quarterback. Not even Belichick on Brady would do some shit like that in the middle of a game. Dude, it was clear from day one how he came in. He came in saying, I don't want none of that. I don't want a superstar quarterback. There's going to be no more kissing babies and all that. So he instead of coming in being like, hey, I want to try to make this work, he came in saying this is not going to work. We're going to give it 1 year, but it's not going to work. It doesn't matter how he plays because truth be told, yes, year one, Russell Wilson played terrible. Year two, Russell Wilson played fine. It was not his fault that the defense gave up 70 against the Miami Dolphins, right? Like none of that was necessarily his fault or the Bears game or any of that stuff, right? Like Russell Wilson played fine. But Sean Payton did not want him in the building. And then to go to him and say, hey, man, will you waive your injury guarantee? And I thought in that interview with Brandon Marshall, we got the real Russell Wilson for 1.1 second sliver of a second when he talked about that money thing. And Russ goes, I ain't giving up my injury. Broke character goes, I ain't giving up my injury guarantee. You crazy?
Yeah. No, for real.
Hey, I might be Mr. Good Guy. I might be visit the children's hospitals and all that. If you don't think I'm gonna give up $60 million, you done lost your motherfucking mind. Like, yeah. All that shaking hands and kissing babies is great, but I got money. Like, I'm not doing that. And like he broke character. He's like, I'm not. And he also said something that I thought was powerful too. He said, I'm not setting that precedent, right? I give up my injury guarantee. What happens next year when it happens to the next old quarterback? And it's like, hey, wait, Russell did it last year. I'm not doing that. So I think he understood like this decision is first off bigger than me, but it is pretty big for me because it's my bank account. And second off, I'm not fuck y'all. You sign me to the deal, you figure it out. If you want to cut me on March 1st, go for it. But you will be paying me my money.
I don't understand why he can't.
Full.
So the thing that I didn't realize, and I'm not a cap specialist, but he can't double dip this year.
So before a certain point, I don't think he can. I think after a certain point, anything he signs for comes out of the Denver money.
Right. No, that's what I mean. Yeah. He can't double dip.
I think after a certain point it doesn't, which is why they're saying it wouldn't make sense for him to sign. Or there's something weird about it, but yeah.
From my understanding, every single dollar that he signs for this year is he can't make more. He's locked in at $39 million,
which should make him the most attractive quarterback on the market because you could essentially be like, Russ, we'll give you $700,000. He's like, fine. And I think the talk of like, well, is he gonna want to play for that? Is a little bit crazy. Like he hasn't shown any indication that he's not gonna play. All of a sudden, Russell Wilson is gonna be at home this year, which is insane. Some of the guys that are going to be starting on a Sunday, and Russell Wilson can't get a job.
Remove the politics from it. He should absolutely be playing quarterback this year.
Starting.
Yeah, starting. Yeah.
Starting.
No question.
He should be. There should be a team right now. Like, oh yeah, he's our unquestioned starter going into the year.
Yes,
he could start for the Raiders. He could start for the Saints. He could start for the.
Oh, dude, Atlanta, Pittsburgh,
for Atlanta, for Pittsburgh,
Minnesota,
for Washington,
Minnesota, all those teams.
I could give you 15 teams. The Jets.
Yep.
The Giants.
Yes. Yeah. No, not the Jets. Not the Jets. Chill.
Well, if I'm saying, as an insurance plan, whatever. I don't know. I'm just saying,
12 here.
Is he still around?
12 here, dog. Come on, man.
I don't know. We'll see.
12 here. 15 is still 12 after that.
Hey, good question.
Yeah.
Wait. Hey. I've been waiting a couple months for this one. I got to give everybody a quick setup.
Oh, my God.
So, like 3 weeks before the Super Bowl, I called Sean. I said, hey, man, because Sean, for those that don't know, Sean is on the hill of Aaron Rodgers, the best quarterback of all time. It's a hill he will not move off of. He will die on that hill. He has tied himself to the pole.
I'm come downhill.
He's coming down from the hill. Descent. He grabbed his mountain gear and he's coming down. All right. So I said, hey, look, man, if Patrick Mahomes, I think it was before the Buffalo game. I said, hey, if Mahomes goes in there and they win against Buffalo, right, and they win this playoff game, are you still going to say Rodgers is better than Mahomes? He's like, well, what's the context? I go, in their prime. He goes, yeah. I go, if Mahomes wins the Super Bowl, okay, stop that right there. It's not happening. I'm going to say, if he does, is he better than Rodgers? You go,
well, isn't it kind of the same?
Not happening.
Isn't it kind of the same situation about Brady and Mahomes? Rodgers, when it just comes to talent, arm talent, quarterback play, he was unbelievable to me. But yes, I mean, look, 15 is on a different level. That's just what it is. And we've been saying that. And y'all know how it is. Nick painted me so much into a corner that I had no recourse but to try to fight out of it and keep backing Rodgers. But yes, Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league.
That's not true. You painted yourself into the right. No, actually, what I was doing, I tried to give you outs. That was me giving you the out. I called you before. I go, hey, look, man, just in case this happens, I'm gonna give you you're my man's. I want to give you the opportunity to back out of this one. Right? I want to give you the opportunity. And then you quadrupled down on it by essentially betting against Patrick Mahomes all playoffs, which
dude,
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Never
to you.
Again.
Dude. Pat cost me
a lot of bread.
Look, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm not the guy that comes on here and just starts chirping and like my money was behind the Ravens. My money was on Buffalo. Like my money, like my heart, I'm talking about
every week.
I'm talking about big greenbacks.
Yeah,
was against Patrick Mahomes. I had to after he beat the Ravens, bro. I couldn't even. I had a very little nibble on San Francisco, but compared to I had a lot of money on Baltimore, bro. And I got a really good number. I had a lot of money on Baltimore. And
never bet against that man again.
I still can't believe how he warped them mentally in the first quarter.
Yeah,
he was in their head. Pat Mahomes was in the Baltimore Ravens' head,
and then didn't do anything for the next 3 quarters.
It was unbelievable. So, yeah, man, I'm not just up here chirping. I'm definitely putting my money up. But yeah, Patrick is different, man. The run was different, and last year was the year to clip him because next year, I don't see why they don't win 3 in a row. Because this was the
worst year that they were going to have.
That's what I'm saying.
You can't tell me they're not going to get. They can't have a worse set of skill position guys. 47 drops from wide receivers this year.
No, that's what I mean. They're going to pull up next year.
Team had zero business. That team actually had zero business winning a Super Bowl. We were talking about is this team going to make the playoffs halfway through the year because it was looking so bad. But
yeah, I don't want to talk. Man, fuck that. I'll talk about the Chiefs.
See Patrick Mahomes with plus money ever again.
So anyway,
we'll never see it again.
Back to Russell Wilson.
It was an anomaly. It was like COVID. It was like COVID crypto. You'll never see numbers. You had to be there.
Yeah, you'll never believe it unless you were there.
You never believe it unless you were there. You mean 4 straight weeks in the playoffs? Yes, 4 straight weeks in the playoffs.
4 straight weeks, bro.
We could have got plus 110 at the Super Bowl. Trust me, I know.
Yeah. Then Shanahan took the ball, and man, there were so many fucking mistakes throughout the run too. It was crazy. But yes, to close out Russell Wilson, he needs to be on a team. He deserves to be on a team. He's a top 15, 16 quarterback in the NFL. I have no questions about that. So I'm interested to see how this works. A lot of teams need to go pick up this guy. Pick up the phone. I don't really get this. I really don't understand.
I don't understand at all. Yeah. Even off last year's, if you're going to tell me he's not one of the 20 best quarterbacks on earth right now, to me, I could name you 11 guys that are worse than him that will be starting on Sundays.
Yes, without question.
I really can. Yeah.
So from going to delusional number 1 with Russell Wilson, people thinking that he shouldn't be in the NFL, to the NFL Combine and the NFL Draft.
Oh my God.
Now, as you guys know, me and Nick are not big college football fans, and I am not a big draft person because I'm not really into guessing
and projecting.
I'm not really into on specific players being successful. Now, if we're talking about futures markets and talking about Boston winning the East and do we think something is mispriced on a futures market? Sure. But I'm not really keen on guessing on 18 and 19-year-olds coming out of college and having success in the NFL. And that's what the NFL Combine and the NFL Draft is. Nick the Quick hit me and was like, every year this shit gets more and more ridiculous. JJ McCarthy, let's talk about this. I don't get it, man.
You might be the number 1 pick by next week.
Because I didn't watch a lot of college football, but I would say the team I watched the most was probably Michigan. JJ McCarthy was a supplemental piece of why they were winning games. He wasn't the reason why they were winning games, like Michael Penix Jr. at Washington.
The system
they are now JJ McCarthy is now a surefire top 10, top 15 pick. 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, when games were actually being played, this guy was in the 3rd or 4th round. Now he's a surefire top 15 pick. So much propaganda, so much talk changes the element in all these games. It's actually ridiculous. Big Nick the Quick, how you feel about the NFL Combine and the NFL Draft? And we can have some fun with just the conversations wrapped around all
I think the best, you're a TV guy, the best job in TV might be draft analyst. You don't got to know nothing. You don't have to be right about anything. You just got to read a few tea leaves and go ahead and report on it. All of a sudden,
a few conversations.
Jaden Daniels is my favorite. Guy wins the fucking Heisman Trophy. Is the best quarterback in college football all year.
In the SEC.
In the SEC at Louisiana State University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where we've seen others have success. Joe Burrow.
The Bayou.
The Bayou. On Bayou. Shout out Edo. Does all that. Don't really hear a lot about him, right? All of a sudden, within the last week, Jaden Daniels is now the number 2 quarterback and should be threatening Caleb Williams to be the number 1 guy. Mind you, nothing what he did on the field this year seemed to matter because, again, throughout the year, I heard not a peep about It was always Drake May and Caleb Williams, right? Don't hear a peep about him. J.J. McCarthy wins the national championship. Just still don't hear a lot about him. All of a sudden, the last week, I'm looking yesterday on TV and Get Up, and Mel Kiper Jr. has him as a top 10 guy in the draft. The 3rd or 4th quarterback that's going to be taken off the board. They're just throwing shit out there. We don't know.
It's literally It's literally a PR political campaign.
Speaking of Aaron Rodgers was going to be number 2 that year to Alex Smith. He fell to 24. These guys don't know anything, or 20, whatever it was.
Yeah.
They don't know anything. They just go out there and say whatever. The quarterback shit this year is truly amazing because guys, I don't know who. Next thing we know, Bo Nix is going to be the number 1 pick of the draft. Hey, Bo Nix, man, you guys been watching Bo Nix for 12 years in college. Yes, you know what I mean. So it's crazy, man. Like you said, it's all projecting. I don't really care. My team has the number 1 pick in the draft this year, and I don't care.
Yeah,
I
agree.
Talk to me. Hey, you know what? You know when I care? In fucking September and October. Get these guys through camp and holler at me on week 1. I don't even care in the preseason. I don't have enough time for this shit.
Yo, you know what I could already see, Nick, too? The funny thing? I agree with Nick wholeheartedly. I could already see the report. Bears pick Caleb Williams. Bears still haven't signed Caleb Williams. We have 3 days to whatever. Caleb Williams has not signed his deal. It's like, gee, just cut it out with all this bullshit. Just get me to training camp and get into the
weird guy. Like the not doing the physical thing seemed kind of odd.
What about 18? What about 18? Didn't do it either though.
Which one's 18? Is that Rodgers?
No, 18. He wears red, and he went to Ohio State.
The man you really can't really give his number. Yeah. I'm like, just say his name. Don't do that.
No.
We got to record next week. I'll be in Ohio.
He didn't do that joke will never not be funny. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, he didn't do stuff either.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, listen, man. And let's be honest here. The Bears are drafting Caleb Williams, right? We've already decided this. This at this point, you would know if we were keeping Justin Fields. The Bears are drafting Caleb Williams, so we got to accept that fact. It just seems like there's a lot of weird shit about him as an individual. So we'll see.
Well, dude, this is why it gets so convoluted. You never know what's him. You never know what's his camp. Who said this? Who said that? Just like that's why the draft. It's so politically PR driven that I can't get behind all the nonsense that goes into it. Like it's just too much for me.
Talking about Pops, he said he doesn't like Caleb Williams because his dad is too involved in the process. He said that's a red flag.
Yeah, see, it's just like, but yo, people like those are like real reports too. It's like I don't know, teams not feeling well because it's like Lamar Jackson shouldn't get a deal because his mom.
Someone said something interesting on Get Up. They said the problem with the draft is that all the time that happens between actual gameplay and the draft is all these people just start talking. It's like if
Yeah.
you were to have the draft right after the season was over, it would
Yeah.
be very easy.
Yes, it'd be a lot different. Yeah.
It'd be a lot different. Hey, watch the film, right? Like, watch the film. Who looked the best on the film? Cool, that's who we're drafting. It's all the time that goes in between it that you talk yourselves out of clear situations.
Yeah, because
that's how Mitch Trubisky ends up the number 2 pick of the draft.
Yes, absolutely. I talked to a couple of people at the All-Star game in Indy because the combine followed the All-Star game.
What
so it was
a couple weeks for Indy.
And basically, I talked to a couple people that were going to be down there for the NFL piece or have been down there for the NFL combine, media guys. And oh my God, it's just like everybody just goes to St. Elmo's, has shrimp cocktail and drinks beers, and it's just like a rumor fest.
Yeah, rumor fest. Yeah.
About like what's this and what's that. And it's just like people talk, and next thing you know, JJ McCarthy's a top 10 pick. Literally because 3 people had shrimp cocktail and had a couple Manhattans. And now it's like, I don't know, man. JJ McCarthy might be a top 10 pick.
So you guys like JJ? Yeah, I think I do. Oh, yeah.
Like maybe some of these guys coming into college should just get a lobbyist and send him to St. Elmo's and just have him work the room and talk about how much he should be up the draft board. And by the morning, he's top 15 pick.
Yeah.
That's it. that's the NFL combine.
It really doesn't take 4 months to evaluate a guy.
Well, especially if guys are going and not doing anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, oh, yeah, I had a conversation with JJ McCarthy, stand-up guy, real good guy.
Yeah, what is he going to do, be an asshole?
Like, yeah. I mean, yeah, he's probably smart dude.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't give a fuck if y'all draft me or not, man. Whatever, man.
Yeah, yeah. Like, oh, and Harbaugh told me he's a great guy, and he's this and that in the room. It's like, yeah, I mean, of course.
Harbaugh's not going to sabotage his own guy.
Yeah, so that's
it's all bullshit, man. It's like it's high capping season right now is where we're at. The highest of capping season is the draft.
And I want to be clear. It's not that we don't think you can make an impact when you go have an interview or you could learn something about some of these young players.
Absolutely.
But a lot of it is so much nonsense smoke that it's like impossible to decipher as outsiders unless you're at St. Elmo's yourself. That's when you can maybe figure it out. So let's have fun here coming up with the NFL draft. Let's see how it shakes. Bears do have number 1 pick. Let's see where Justin lands as well. Oh, yeah. No,
all of a sudden, Justin
we'll close on this. Justin Fields is worth a 9.
Yeah,
10th round.
He might be worth a supplemental pick. Supplemental draft, 4th round pick. What about the compensatory pick?
Justin Fields,
he's a top 80 protected 2nd round pick.
Justin Fields at the end of the year was a surefire 2nd round pick. Maybe and a long shot you could potentially try to push for a 1.
Now nobody wants him. They say.
You sit here in the first week of the combine, guy.
Atlanta doesn't want him.
Nobody.
Pittsburgh wants Kenny Pickett over him.
Yeah, they talk about Kenny Pickett. Is look, what do you do if is it worth the $20 million or keeping Kenny Pickett for 8? It's like
Kenny
what?
Pickett.
What is happening now? Justin's a 6, and he's going to be competing with Kenny Pickett.
They said he might have to go somewhere where he's going to be a backup. And I'm like, what?
What?
I'm like, what world are we in? Do you guys watch some of the guys who have lined up on Sundays?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Desmond Ritter started 13 games last year. Get the fuck out of here that Justin Fields or Russell Wilson can't find a gig next year.
But
what are you talking about?
But that's residue from the NFL Combine and the NFL Draft talk.
Yeah,
that's
right.
what it is.
A whole bunch of people that get around, start talking, and just start making shit up, and then now that's the narrative.
Yes. Exactly.
Like, y'all won't trade a 2nd for Justin? No, he's worth a 4th. Yeah, next thing you know, somebody hears it. It's Kimberly Martin hears it, and she's reporting on Get Up the next day.
Literally at the left side of the bar, he was he's worth a 2, and on the right side, by the time he gets to the right side of the bar, he's worth a 6. Like and then Rossini is on TV like, 6. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, that's how it goes when it comes to the NFL Draft and the NFL Combine. Let's see how it shakes. We're going to leave it there. No Catch Up is back. Sports Talk via Chicago. For Big Nick the Quick, I'm your host, Sean Little. Make sure you subscribe everywhere. Tell a homie to tell a friend. Audio will be up shortly. We'll see y'all next week.